podcast was brought to you by Vistaprint. Create powerful promotions that are easy to design and hard to miss. With Vistaprint, it's easy to customize your business cards, marketing material, corporate gifts, calendars, stationery, and more with confidence, or get real-time design help. Visit radioonfire.com/Vistaprint to get $20 off any order of $40 or more. If you have a message to get out, you want it to be affordable, but you want it to look professional. Visit radioonfire.com/Vistaprint for $20 off today.
Welcome to another episode of A Side of Shade.
Hi. Hello.
Hey, I am smiling so daggone hard. It's ridiculous.
Because you're drunk.
It's the Pinot Noir.
I did. You know what? I don't
and
know
gentlemen.
why. What happened was, ladies and gentlemen, is that no, that's when you got.
What had happened
I got to
was-
set the stage because what happened was the lady gave me one drink. I didn't like it, so then she gave me something else. But then we had to go and we had to leave, so I had to hurry and drink it real fast.
So it was
and you
a
know when
And
you
she
take
literally threw that sucker back. As soon as she did it, I looked like
she knew it was trouble, and I was like, and I realized that from our house to here, I was smiling.
listen. But look at all three of us though. Like we
But
stopped
smiling
smiling
the
the
whole
whole time.
time.
But I was saying when I came out, I was like, this is why people go to happy hour every day.
This is
Because
why
it makes
people go to
you happy.
happy
because
hour.
it
It does.
makes like this is literally
No,
why
sir.
people go to happy hour every
But
day.
I mean, it's important. Like you need to wind down. You
Oh, my
have
goodness.
to. Like it's important. I finally realized. Like I'm saying, I don't drink every day after work.
Right.
Definitely, I don't. But I realized when I do,
said it like
it
you
makes
trying
me
to
feel
convince
nice.
It makes you feel happy.
No. It just makes you feel happy when you do. It's like having a great drink, especially when you have a great drink. Having a great drink, it just makes you feel good.
and good company.
Oh yeah,
So let
it
me
was
tell you
good
about.
company.
So there's a new cocktail that I've made at home
What's
because I
the
have my own
cocktail?
happy hour. You know, I have great papers, and then at 5 o'clock, I'm like, oh, it's happy hour, so I make a cocktail.
Not 5 o'clock.
Listen.
So I make a
somewhere.
cocktail. So
What's
it's
in
a
this?
Grand Marnier Cosmopolitan. So it's I
What's
know.
in that? I mean, I know Grandma, yeah.
Grand
but
Marnier, cranberry juice, and a little bit of lime,
that's probably
and it's cold.
chill, nice.
Marnier,
Look
pineapple
at the
juice
face.
and some
That's when
lime.
you know. Look at the face.
Do you wet the glass and then put it in the freezer?
I
so
haven't
it'll
done
be
that
chill?
yet, but
Oh,
I haven't
okay.
done that yet. But that takes it to the next.
Listen.
Next level.
Takes
Next
it
level.
up a notch.
And you got to, but that's what I'm saying. Like we were saying that having happy hour is important.
It
I'm
is.
just saying. Like I
It
mean,
really
unless
is.
you in a program,
Right.
Unless you're in a program, then no.
Right.
But if you're not,
Then you can
then you can feel free.
Ginger
I'm
ale
just
on
saying
rock.
because some people may be listening.
Right. No, you're
who
right.
should not
Like
be
I'm on
drinking.
step 4. I can't go to happy
you're on
hour.
step
Or if
4.
you're one of the type of people who drink and it makes you angry.
Oh yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. Which
See,
is
that's
usually
that's
dark
why It's
liquor.
called happy hour.
Because you're supposed to be happy.
You
not
supposed to be
angry.
happy. When people who
It's
drink
not
who
angry
get
hour.
angry,
It's not
I don't
angry
like
hour.
It. I don't like it. It just changes the whole.
It's not
mood.
angry hour.
And then they want to fight everybody. I like when the night ends, when everybody be like,
Yeah.
"Yes, girl, we gonna do this again." Then you know you ain't gonna never see these people ever again.
8 months later.
Right.
This
That's what
was
we
so
said.
much fun. Why don't we do this more
Yeah,
often?
Exactly. That's how the night should end. It should end with somebody getting locked
Yeah,
up.
right, no.
And
Stabbed.
You try and run and you done broke the heel of your shoe
Yeah,
because the police
too
is
much.
coming. It's
That's
too
when you
much.
know the happy
Yeah.
hour is
When
gone
it-
too
yeah.
far.
Listen.
Yeah.
So yeah, but just a slight drink or,
Yes.
or two.
Little bit.
Yeah,
Little,
just a little
light bite.
And we had pizza.
Yeah,
we had a
Yes.
good time.
It
We had a good
was
time.
good.
So now that we know there's half off pizza, we like really excited
Every other
on
Wednesday.
Wednesday. So
That made
yeah.
the hour a lot more happy.
But we were even more excited about the topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
But especially this one here.
Look.
She been talking about this topic for forever.
With the-
Forever.
Look at the shoulders.
Right.
Look at the shoulders.
Look at your That's when you know you had some bourbon.
But before we go, that first sip when you
Oh,
go to
yeah.
happy hour.
Back
you
to
gotta-
back to
you
back to
gotta
the
go
happy
back.
hour.
Okay. When you have that first sip at the end of the day, and you have your first sip of whether it's wine
Yeah.
or a cocktail,
Right. It makes you feel good.
just
It makes you feel good, and it's cold outside.
it makes you go like
So
this.
it didn't make you
Hey,
shoulders.
yeah, you got to do the
and
shoulders.
it's snapping. Okay.
Drink
just
shouldn't
warms
make
you
you
up.
cry, Tia. That's
It just warms you up. And
But
you know
maybe it's crying out of happiness.
no.
No,
you shouldn't be
that's
crying.
a
you
whole
shouldn't be
nother
crying. Okay, that's something else. Then maybe
Yeah.
she is at step 4. Is she at step 4?
But you
She
know
might
how
be
like
step-
wine when you like what is
Swirl
this?
it around.
Swirl it around in the glass.
And you see the
how it
legs.
coats. When you drink that first sip, that's what it does. It like it warms and
Right.
coats.
That's how you
That
feel
make you feel
inside.
good. I get it. But also, what makes you
like
feel
this.
no?
Yes, get it.
When
like
you
that.
okay,
That's what it makes you
okay.
The legs of the wine.
The line
It's going down.
I see.
It's going
you.
down.
Okay, you right.
Oh, okay.
But you know what else makes
We
you
got
feel
so
like
off
that?
topic. What else?
It's sex. It's sex. The conversation we talking about sex tonight.
That
Sex
makes you
will
do
It
this.
makes you
feel
want
that
that.
way.
To
Listen,
the back. You gotta bring. You gotta
should be
bring it
doing
all
it.
the back.
Listen,
You gotta bring
get
it back. All right now.
Yes. Get it, B. Sex should definitely make you feel
No,
like that.
but you know what? Just like we said, people get
Oh.
angry about happy hour. Some people have a feel away about sex, meaning there's different emotions when it's tied to sex. So some people feel like, oh yeah, let's talk about it. Yes, girl, let me tell you about this, that. Then some people are like really like shy about it, don't want to talk about it. So there's still several emotions. I've never heard anybody angry about it though.
Yeah,
Unless they had a bad experience.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you had a bad experience and you would be
Or
angry
if you
about
just
it.
had really bad sex,
Then
that's
you're
something
angry
to be
about
angry
it.
about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
So
Yes,
like
if you
tonight
have
we're going to stay away
PTSD.
from bad in terms of like something bad happened.
Yes. Like PTSD.
But, like,
I
yes.
text my
could
mother and
be-
tell her
you
not
know
to
who
get
I'm
on this
talking
Facebook
But
Live
there could
tonight.
be, but we can
Thanks.
talk about when it wasn't good.
Right.
Like it wasn't a great experience.
Right. Like PTSDS, which we can define.
Okay. Great.
Here we go, social work.
Yeah. You know the social work always
Tell
got to
them
show
what
up.
they need to know.
And so we have been talking about having this conversation because I think it's important, especially for women to talk about, Black women to talk about it. And we always shared about how we just didn't have these conversations growing
Right.
up. You pretty much went along with, your friends talking about, girl, this what you need to do. Knowing they
Right.
don't know nothing they talking
Right.
about.
Right.
Your mother ain't talking about it. All
Right.
your only advice was don't get pregnant.
Right.
Right.
That's
Or
what
you
they
were
say
watching
y'all were-
HBO.
Right, watching HBO, watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Or that other one. What was
Or
that one?
Porky's.
Yes. Or the one that came out in the night. That was our era. What, the
Yeah,
one from
I don't know
Kristen's
what
era.
will be in your era.
I don't even know what the hell
American
we're talking
Pie.
about.
Oh, American Pie.
See, I didn't even know what they
But
were
I'm saying, but
referring
it was-
to
it was
relate
sim-
it to something. That's what I'm
You
saying.
just wanted.
No,
you
I
just
did.
wanted to go there. We were saying your era. What is your era?
But I didn't know what it is that you were referring
Oh,
to.
were movies
to
that-
relate it.
sex movies
Got
that
it.
had
See,
sex
I didn't know what
themes.
they were. I really
so
didn't.
American Pie, you saw that.
Yes, American
But you
Pie
don't
would
know
definitely
Porky's
be.
But
or-
you
I
don't
don't
know
know what
Porky's or Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I've never heard that. Nope.
Damn.
I apologize.
No, you don't need to apologize. You're born '88. I get it. But those were the movies that were like.
And I think I might have had to get somebody to buy my ticket to see American
Clearly.
Pie. Like,
Oh, yeah,
I
you
was
still
still too
going
young.
to
Right.
And I know Phyllis probably still don't know you saw it.
Can somebody text my mother and tell her not to join the live?
No, but those were the movies
Yeah.
that you were
Yeah.
in the dark hiding.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
did you see those? I know you know those movies. Oh, okay. Look, he's shaking his head. He watched them over and over again. And like those are the movies that you were just like in the back hiding.
Yeah, 'cause I couldn't
Don't-
watch-
You know,
technically
your
couldn't
mother,
watch them.
right?
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
knew you was watching
You
it.
turn the channel when they walk in the room.
Exactly. And then God forbid if the channel gets is it
Right. Because there was no back. Remember on the remote, there was no back button. So you had to have it. You had to have it programmed.
You gotta get it right.
Got stuck, and you can't get the
You
thing to
can't
come
get
back.
it. Or you know how if you in a room like and then there's a scene and it get real loud for some reason
Right.
the sex
You wanna
scene
turn
get
the
real
volume
loud.
down.
You like and all you hear is
All it takes is one person.
Yeah.
What the hell you in there watching?
What's going on there? You like nothing.
I wasn't watching.
But like those are the things I feel like that's how we learn
Yeah.
most of
Yeah.
whatever we thought we learned.
Absolutely.
But it was those experiences,
Absolutely.
or like your friends saying, or especially in high school. I feel like I can't really. Middle school was I definitely wasn't thinking about. I mean, I think you talked about sex, but not. It wasn't to the point where it was like.
Yeah.
I don't remember talking about sex like that in high school. Did you talk about sex? Damn, young people. What was y'all talking about in middle school?
Everything. We had a whole sex tape in our high school
Sex tape.
that went around with somebody's mother in it. A tape.
Was somebody's mother in it? Wait a minute, she said was
Yes.
somebody's mother in it. Was the you know what? I bet because the mother was in high school. The mother was in high school. Was the mother?
Wait, what?
She wasn't in high school.
She was a teacher?
No.
She was your young mother?
Somebody,
She was a young mother, but yeah.
you know,
It might
no,
have been a
she said
cousin.
somebody's
It was
real mother.
It might have been
I
a
mean,
cousin.
you know. I mean, she is
no,
a mother.
it
But
was
I'm
back
saying
then.
back then, somebody's real mother.
Yeah.
Young, so could have been Kim Kardashian.
Wow.
It might have been.
Wow.
Listen. Could have been.
Wow.
No, it was a whole sex tape that people knew about.
She don't want to say that. Oh,
I've
everybody-
never seen it.
Oh, okay.
It was just, but it was such controversy that I remember the administrators getting involved and everything. Like it was a
It was
thing.
serious. It was real.
Wow. It's interesting because we had a lot of teen pregnancy.
Yeah, we
when I was
definitely
in
had a
high
lot of
school. We
teen
had a lot of
pregnancy.
teen pregnancy.
Yeah.
And we had in health class, we had sex ed in junior high, and then we had a health class in high school. And I remember in junior high, It was taught by this guy who was also a coach, and he was super hot.
Why was it coach?
But he was
So you
hot.
were
He was
distracted.
like the hot-
Like, yes, coach.
So he was like
you
the
saying?
hot.
What was you saying?
But he was like showing you like the vagina, the penis, and how to put on a condom, and everybody was just like,
When you said it, he's a dreamboat.
But then when we got to high school, it was this older white woman, and she literally had around the room
Of all the diseases you
Oh,
can get.
right.
Exactly.
That's right. Mother
List them
Nature
in alphabetical
Mother
order.
Nature wants you to get pregnant. Like, it was all about not getting pregnant and not getting
Wow.
diseases.
But you know what? And I don't know how much did they promote abstinence.
No, they didn't put what we had high teen like.
But that's what I'm saying. But I was wondering, like, that was the other thing where it wasn't.
No, we didn't talk about abstinence.
Nobody talked about abstinence either. Okay.
Except for in this class, it wasn't so much about abstinence as it was just about you're biologically equipped. Like, this is what it's for. But it wasn't necessarily about abstinence. So it was sort of that like mixed message of like it wasn't about like just your body and pleasure and.
But see, that's
You know
what I'm
what I
saying.
mean?
And I think that do you think that in high school, like let's move to high school because I don't, that's middle school, but in high school, I don't think that it was like one of those things where people wanted to talk about the pleasure of it all because it was so
Right.
forbidden that you
Right.
should not be doing it. So it was
Right.
like nothing that was embraced and talked about. So I think that was part of the
Because it's like you don't want to tell young people that this actually could feel good,
Right.
Because then they'll do it.
Then they'll do it. Right.
But
Pleasure.
yeah,
that's right. But they're
Yes.
already doing it.
yes, this
Because
is
they're
true.
trying to figure,
So
like-
why not equip them? Yeah,
I'm about to say, some of them could have was in the class like, no,
Someone
you did
was
that
in the
wrong.
tape.
You did-
Right. Someone was in
This
the
is
tape
like-
already.
Hello.
Well, guess what? Our guest has arrived.
I so apologize to y'all and your listeners because the traffic was incredibly terrible.
It's DC though.
Yeah, but it's not always as bad. This took me
It was every accident.
an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
Usually
Yeah.
an hour. So.
But we've been waiting.
I'm ready, and you're talking about pleasure, and that's right.
Yeah, you come right in. Yeah, it's pleasure.
On cue.
So I want to introduce. Now, everyone knows Emma from our previous episode.
Yes.
Say
On
hi to Emma.
On Sister to Sister, Sister to Sister. And she was our resident white woman to talk about all things race and issues between black women and white women and all of it. We had so much fun, didn't we? But we knew we were gonna bring you back because you are by trade
A sex
a sex therapist. So we were like, yes, we're here for it.
Excellent.
So Emma is here. Yay! With her green hair.
Yes.
Green, blue.
Down. She know I like when she put her
she know we
hair
don't wear
down.
hair down, y'all. So
Yes.
y'all getting a little something here.
This is for the show.
Okay, good.
Yes, Emma.
So can you just kind of give people your background?
Sure. So I'm a clinical social worker, and I have done sexual health stuff throughout my career in different capacities, whether that was working around sexual trauma, whether that was doing sexual health education in a high school, which was my favorite job ever in life. Talking about sex with, with clients, that wasn't my specific role, but that was part of the work we were doing. I've done good touch, bad touch presentations with toddlers, all kinds of stuff. I volunteered with HIPS, which is a sex worker advocacy and direct service agency in DC. So a variety of things. And now I am a practicing sex therapist for 2 years, where I work with folks on having the intimate and sexual lives that they most want. That means a lot of different things.
And what is your client base mainly? Or is it all over across the board, or is it?
So I work with individuals and couples. I specialize in ethical non-monogamy and kink. So that can mean that I sometimes work with more than 2 partners at a time. I'm based in DC. I work at Freed Bodyworks, which is a holistic wellness center. Yay, Freed. Victoria's there too. And yeah, I work with a whole load of folks. A real variety of ages, genders, sexualities, relationship styles.
Great.
Yeah.
So with that background, we know we got the perfect person.
Yeah.
Like she is the.
I'm ready.
She knows. And the good thing about that is I'm glad you touched on the fact that the different age groups, and so you can speak to what is the good, the bad, the people ain't got no business doing, meaning bad things, right? So we
Yes.
said we'll stay away from that side of it. But we'll
Yes.
talk about maybe bad experiences, but not necessarily bad behavior.
right.
When I say that, I mean anything dealing with
Value
rape
judgment,
or
yeah.
you know, things like that. Which
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
I recently did a training for social workers about sexual health, and one of the things I said is we get trained about the bad stuff. We get trained about HIV infection,
Yes.
unwanted pregnancies, sexual trauma.
Yep.
We don't ever get trained on how to talk to folks
Yep.
about pleasure,
Yes.
the joys
Yep.
of sex,
Yep.
Yes.
how empowering it is
Yep.
when you are an actualized sexual being and you are getting pleasure in your life, whether alone or with a partner
Come on.
or
Yes.
multiple partners.
Yes.
Come on.
So, you know, those
Yes.
are such important things.
Well, and that's why I wanted to make sure we set the stage with that, because I think that for this show, the whole thing is how we can be empowered by our sexuality.
Right.
Yes.
Talk about what it means to understand who you are and what that means to be a sexual being, and all the pleasure around that, so we can stay away from. So I just want to set the stage with that, so
Yeah.
people won't be like, "Well, why you ain't talk about
Yeah.
that time?"
Right,
You know,
right. Yes.
no. We tonight
That has its
is
time.
about,
It's about pleasure.
yes, this is about pure joy
Yay.
and pleasure with you and your partner, with parentheses S,
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
Or
in case.
alone.
Yes.
or alone.
Yes.
So what would you say? I started off like, what would you say as far as your client base when people are looking to enhance their current situation? What do you think the main thing what do you see mostly? Like, what are people
Yeah.
like? Tell me how to, or what should I be?
Right. Very generally speaking, when it's individuals, it's often feeling a sense of shame connected to either their body and their desires or their desires. They want something and they're not sure how to connect to find that, or they feel shame and guilt around that because the way society, religion,
Yeah.
families, all these different components have really trained us to feel shame. When it's couples, it's almost always that there's discordant desire. So one partner either wants to have sex more or different kinds of sex than the other partner. And that's for so many different reasons, but that's what's playing out in their sex lives. So we're doing some assessment to figure out what. Sometimes folks come in and they need ideas about positions, and other times we're talking about childhood trauma, and sometimes we're talking about sex toys, and sometimes we're talking about the anxiety around finances that's making people not want to get down. So it's all kinds of things, right, that impact our sex drive.
It's hard to be intimate when your lights not on.
Right. It's dark in here.
I am
You ain't gotta turn off the lights.
Right.
Stay on.
This ain't romance.
Hello.
Right. The lights are off. I can't cook.
Right, the bill collectors are coming to the
Yeah.
door. That's
Yeah.
They call.
That's
It's
not
not.
erotic.
They in the bed right next to you.
All right, now you done.
Or
Okay.
maybe that's your kink and you get off on it. But for
With
most
having the bill
people,
collected in the bed. I mean, it could be a thing.
anything can be a kink. Really just means a desire. We tend to think about it in terms of things that are unusual.
Yeah.
But a kink is just what gets us off. So your kink can be a loving, respectful relationship. That's what turns me on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. And
But why is
It's
that?
funny. I'm laughing at you because you are so. This is a black woman.
Oh,
Hello. Say that.
Right. It's always turned into a Negro script. Even the sex talk.
I mean,
Go ahead.
as it should. It's a
You-
spiritual
I
experience.
get it. I get it.
Yes, Victoria.
Look. See,
Look at the social workers come through.
that's what I'm saying. Look, like, you saying something there.
That's a word. That's a word.
Black people love a good word, don't they? Good. Great
word.
Go
No,
ahead.
I wanted to go back to the kink because why is it that we associate kink with like weird, like
Yeah.
freaky behavior as opposed to just that thing that gets me off?
Because we are a very repressed society. We're, a society where you have access to hardcore porn 24/7 on the internet, and all of our media is inundated with images of a certain brand of sexuality, certain genders, certain kinds of things, and yet we can't have honest conversations about pleasure. We can't talk about, Jill Scott at one of her
Here we go.
concerts,
We just talking about
the
that.
moment
I
with
will
her
not.
microphone,
Right.
which I am not going to imitate.
was epic.
And people, it was epic.
Yeah.
And people are so shocked. First of all, her music is very sexy.
This
So
is
we
what
just
I'm
say
saying.
that's
This
all
is
it
what-
has always.
I'm sorry.
been.
But
Do I say that?
This is not a
Brown
new jelly.
roll on
This is
ice.
original
But
jelly
also-
from Philly.
Yeah.
Like y'all haven't been paying
No,
attention.
you're
Yeah.
not. But also,
If you're
people
not
making
paying,
comments about her age.
There's a reason.
Oh,
People are making
Her age.
There's a reason.
what's the reason?
A lot of people were surprised.
Why?
Because people that don't listen to her music think that neo soul
Is she a gospel
is
singer?
like a goody two-shoes
not a gospel.
lane. So they were surprised to see that. But fans
They've apparently
are
never
not
heard
surprised.
Bilal's music because he was right a part of that genre.
Right.
And he is
Yeah.
next.
Fans,
Yeah.
actual fans are not surprised, but people who are just aware of her.
Yeah.
Right,
they were
yeah.
surprised.
No,
Well,
you're
she's
right.
also not a. She's I think in her 40s.
40s.
Yeah.
She is a bigger woman. She's smaller now. She's all these things that we deem as not necessarily
sexual.
sexual. She's
Right.
a single mother.
Right.
So people are all shocked and commenting
Really?
Right.
about auntie stuff.
Yeah, I did see that, and I was like, "You're being ridiculous."
No.
Auntie be getting her life for a long time.
Yeah, and that sounds
So
like
it's
yeah,
all connected. So therefore, so much of our language about sex and our discourse is connected to shame and it's secrecy, and I have to keep this undercover. And so even a word like kink becomes this other thing that we talk about when again it's just the thing that turns you on.
right, right.
But I also think too, particularly for in the Black community, and I know for Black women, and I talk about this in my book, Untangled, A Black Woman's
Yes,
Journey.
let 'em know.
Spiritual sexual
Best-
freedom
bestseller.
available on Amazon.
Available on Amazon.
Right.
Yeah.
Best-selling author.
But that we weren't exposed to that.
Yeah.
So a lot of our thinking about sex is this sort of, it's a secret, private. I mean, we have this juxtaposition of that and being overly sexualized.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right, to where
No,
like
man,
we're
yeah.
booty popping, all just whatever. It's like we're over sexualized, or we don't talk about it at all. When there's this, what you're saying,
Is the gray
and
area.
there's a gray area, and I think what a
Absolutely.
lot of women were exposed to, that, and I speak for myself, that I wasn't exposed to, but like my counterparts were exposed to, was that there's options, like there are things that you can do, that you can participate in, and it doesn't have to mean one. It's like it's not A or B. You know what I mean? But like there's all
Absolutely.
this stuff in the middle.
There's A through Z.
oh, well, hello now.
Yeah.
In AA, AB, AC,
Right.
AD.
On and on. And
Yeah.
But that's what I wondered, like, and for me having a daughter who is now 21, I mean, honestly, I didn't have these conversations with her. And I think it was more, I think in my mind, like, I thought I was going to be this parent to be like, girl, let's sit down and talk. But when you really have to have that conversation, it doesn't feel, it's uncomfortable to know that your child is going to have pleasure out of having sex with somebody. Like, you just don't want to see your kid in that way.
Yeah.
And it's always just your kid. So you don't know how to empower them in that way, because it's the shame is really not necessarily the kid. It's just more you.
Yeah.
Like, you're more uncomfortable about it, because it's like, what should I be telling my, like, it's one thing to say how your body is yours, and that's one conversation, but to go a little deeper into the conversation about what that means, that your body is yours, and how you choose to do and what you plan to do with it is really
And
your
put
choice.
inside of it, or put yourself
But
inside
that's
of.
but those are the, and in my mind, even when I probably shouldn't say all this stuff, but even in my mind, I think when I was going to, I know I don't want to embarrass.
Should we?
I won't. But my point is, I think I can speak for most parents when they say, when they have this conversation, have the talk with their kids, especially a girl, that it may not be. I don't remember saying don't get pregnant. It wasn't that. It was more so, where are you at? Because I wanted to be able to talk through where she was at when it was time, so to speak. And so I think that it limited me, because I was so worried about saying these things and talking through it, that I just couldn't. I didn't know what the words to say to her, if that makes sense.
I think I've said to a lot of parents as a social worker for 15 years, before I became a sex therapist, if you're not talking to your child about sex, they're learning it from someone else. They're learning it in school. I mean, the internet can teach you all kinds of things. And all kinds of really, I mean, think about, if you get all your sexual education from porn, what your messages are about bodies, about activities, about consent. Because the other thing is, in this whole conversation about Me Too and sexual assault and sexual harassment, is the conversation about consent, which should start very, very early, and is absolutely about sexuality. Right? It's connected to. So there's a lot of nuances to that conversation. I appreciate, though, that it's hard when it's your own child. I am not a parent, to be very clear. I am not a parent.
It is, and I mean, it's like, go ahead.
I recently had a friend ask me the same conversation. She had come to me and said that, her daughter was sent her a message and asked her questions about sex, and she wasn't sure how to have a conversation, and she just was like, as my friend, what do you think I should say? Like, I just want to tell her, here's the list of STDs. This is what this looks like. Don't do it. It's painful. It's horrible. And I'm like, you know good and well what we were doing when we were in high school, when we didn't have the conversation. I'm like, why can't you have the conversation about the pleasures of sex with her? And then, but also have a conversation of the responsibilities that's associated with it. Because I really wish someone would have had that conversation with me. I mean, just think about us growing up and all of the things that we did that wasn't pleasurable or didn't feel good, or you know that
you didn't just do it at all.
Or you didn't just do it at all. Even when you were doing it, what you thought was pleasure wasn't pleasure. Now that you know as an adult and you've identified, you know, with your body and what you like and what you want, you know what your kinks are. But if you had never had a conversation about what it is to have these feelings and be sexual and be intimate and what feels good, and the only person that's telling you is your homegirl in high school or the guy you with or the girl you with, then who's responsible for my emotional now well-being?
But
or
that's
my
what I'm saying. Like, that's the thing that you don't. But I'm saying that's the hard part about it, because as a parent, you don't want to. I mean, for me, I was very mindful of the fact that I didn't want to put my traumas on her. I had some terrible experiences growing up, but as soon when you got to sit down and have a conversation with your, 14-year-old about what does it mean to have a play. Like, I mean, we talked about me and her her dad, like me and my husband, we had these, like, we could talk about those things, but it wasn't as easy. I know it sounds like say it, but it's not as simple as just like,
I mean, it's from the opposite side. I don't want to hear the conversation about my mom and dad having a conversation about their sexual and intimate relationships.
And that's what I'm saying. So think about that. So that's what I'm saying. That's what you're thinking about. Like, you think about you and your parents having sex. No. And I'm saying that's no different than you think about your kids having sex. Like, I know it's just, it's not one of those, I think it's like one of those things where you, in your mind, like, I'm telling you, this is what I told myself. Girl, you gonna be that parent. Cause my mother was a young mother. She didn't know. The only thing she could tell me was not to get pregnant, because that was her experience, right? So of course, in your mind, you like, girl, when me and my daughter we gonna be sitting around talking. And I'm telling you, the day we had the conversation, I was like, like, you know what I mean? You could do a whole thing.
I'm like, that's a whole show in itself.
To children, and it's emotionally laden. When we talk about responsibility, there's also emotional responsibility. It's not just about using protection. Yeah. It's about what it means when you're intimate with someone and the responsibility of being intimate. Yeah. But there's so much. I want there to be space to talk about pleasure, orgasm, the clitoris. Like, we can go, obviously developmentally appropriate.
So can you say that? Can you say that? Can you actually talk to that? Because that's what the other thing I think. Speak to that part of it when you are dealing with young people. And where is the line? Like, what is the age that they can have these? You can have it. So can you just kind of talk through that?
So I want to share one resource for folks with teenagers. There's a website called Scarleteen that is excellent. It is written really directly to teenagers, but certainly parents can get on there and see what it is. Scarleteen. It's really wonderful resource. Yes, nothing really embarrasses me when it comes to sex. Right. And having taught sex ed at the Maya Angelou Public Charter School in D.C., where
I know that's right.
Where
still I rise.
There was all
still I rise.
And the questions and the things that kids came up with was raw, right? So I can have that conversation. I know, it is difficult, and I want to say it's not about age, it's about development. Because kids at very different ages can handle this information, are prepared to hear it, can know what to do with this information. I am helping my sister with sexual health education for her children who are 2, 5, and 7. And of course, it's developmentally appropriate. But I, hopefully will be the one that they can talk to about sex at any age.
So when did you realize that? Because one of the things we always talk about how for women, I mean, moving past teenage years, and once you past your first experience and all that, once you discover who you are in your body and all that, when did you discover this feels good? Because I think sometimes for women, especially when you get into adult age, because we were inexperienced, we didn't know when to say, you know what, I don't like that, or I do. It's like as you get older, then you kind of figure out, you know. But then early on, you know, it was like, and I'm talking about even in your 20s, like you didn't know. I know so many women who haven't experienced orgasm. I know so many women who don't know what it means to be pleasured.
I've had several female identified clients who come in, or female body clients who come in because they have not experienced orgasm, or you know, someone who wanted to experience more orgasms, which is perfectly valid. Your question is, when did I realize that for myself?
So like, so even between yourself and then like your clients, like when do you see, when do you have those kind of conversations? How do those develop? Like, cause we always talk about.
And even when you go into that detail, explain what an orgasm is. Because I find that a lot of women have.
I know. So we're just going to go. So what I'm saying is start
because
with.
There's like a misunderstanding. Like, go with the basics before I can tell you about your experience, but what that is. What does that consist of?
Good. So I was always very comfortable with my body because of the way I was raised. My mother was a nurse. She was very factual about information. And I remember talking about sex with my friends and being the one they came to very early on, like very early on. And that really informed my own decision making because I felt very comfortable and I was afforded a lot of safety in that experience. With my clients, it's a really long process. There's something I think very freeing about the immediateness of coming into a sex therapist's office who is sex positive, who is kink knowledgeable, who is poly knowledgeable, who is trans knowledgeable, who is all, you know, all these different things, and just saying, you know, I want to do this with my body, or I'm concerned about my erection, or I can't have an orgasm, and that professional receives it. I think that there seems to be something freeing in that for my clients. So that beginning piece starts right away. Okay. But it is a process. I will say in my work, there is nothing more healing than my clients having a great sexual experience by themselves or with someone else. There is nothing I can do as a sex therapist that is as valuable or as powerful as that. So that's sometimes when people stop coming to treatment, and that's cool. That's what we're working towards. Right. Does that answer your question?
No, that does, because I was just trying to say what was like, so when someone went, because I think some people are, you know, not really, no different than any other kind of therapy, you know, not clear about what it really means to, and why would I need to seek it out. And I think sometimes we, especially for, I mean, I can only speak, especially for people in marriages, however they are, whichever, you know, whatever marriage you're in, it's like sometimes you get so used to and don't realize that maybe we do need some additional assistance in how to get to this place or whatever. And so I'm just wondering, like, what's the client process of how they even, you know, they come in and say, hey, bam. So then you can kind of move into the orgasm, like Kristen was on.
Yes. So an orgasm is a muscle spasm, right? That's there. We think about orgasm a lot as the physiological response of the body, right? So for people with a penis having, you know, ejaculating, for people with vulvas, it's usually more of a, you know, it's not quite as clear, right? But that's essentially what's happening, is you're having a muscle spasm. There's a lot of pleasure associated with it, although it's not pleasurable for everyone. Some people experience a great deal of pleasure without orgasming, and some people orgasm without experiencing pleasure.
Really?
Absolutely. Right? The same is true for all kinds of ways of being touched. You know, the clitoris is a wonderful part of the, you know, cisgendered female anatomy. However, not everybody likes having their clit touched or stimulated. So there's when it comes to sex, we have a little bit of a knowledge, and it can often be applied in all these ways that don't work for everybody and can be dangerous. Right. This is a situation when a little bit of knowledge can be dangerous.
Well, that's what. So Kristen had brought up a point. Because she, as you know, she uniquely expressed. She does Brazilian waxes and all the like underneath those things.
Scares me.
And I know
It shouldn't.
I'm sorry. How? What?
Listen,
No.
No, thank
Okay. Well.
that's all. That's another show.
Yes, but one of she always talks about how she is so, you know, she's like, I can't believe that so many women don't even want to say the name vagina,
Yeah.
the word
The
vagina. They don't even
ignorance
want to,
around.
because
And
it's
I'll
such a,
challenge that
and
a
don't
little
even
bit.
know,
Right.
right?
Because vagina is actually the internal structure inside of the body. When you're talking about the genitals, it's actually the vulva, because that includes the labia, labia majora, labia minora, the whole parts, whereas the vagina is actually quite a specific part.
Okay.
And in
We
waxing,
can't get to that part because
Right,
we
of
can't
course.
get to the say vagina.
Well,
When I
so-
do
You
said
waxing and I'm like, well, let me
vagina.
do, I'm doing the labia strips and then
Yes.
it'll be, quick seconds. Some people have a little sensitivity. They're like, the what?
the
So, what is
Listen.
that?
Wow.
Is that going to
Number
hurt
one
the
is
lips?
using-
Is that what you're
Wow.
referring
The
to?
The
That's
A
not.
number
Wow.
one is using the correct language for
Yes.
Yeah.
bodies.
Wow.
And not as a way of shaming language, but a way of saying we want to be specific.
Yeah.
And these are not bad words. Elbow
Right.
isn't
No.
a bad word.
Right.
Labia is not a bad word. There's
Right.
nothing.
But don't you think that's just really societal?
But
like,
they will
yes.
all
You
get
do.
like,
I was gonna say, like,
Because
for
it's
women,
women.
I've
That's right, we're
noticed more
sexualized.
women, especially my clients of color, they'll have the most creative names you've ever heard
Yeah.
of in your life.
Pocketbook.
Yeah.
My lady,
Pocketbook.
my she,
What's a
my
pocketbook?
whatever.
It's
It's like
often cutesy poo.
it's little cutesy
Yeah.
little like. No.
I'm sorry, wait a minute. I'm sorry, she
And
said they called it a pocketbook.
Pocketbook.
Oh, I never
So-
heard that one.
Mhm, your purse.
As an adult,
Oh, yeah.
that's one thing when you're talking to your Brazilian. What is the word? The esthetician.
Yes,
Yes, thank
esthetician.
you. I want to use the correct word
Yeah,
for your
sure.
profession. For children, if you need to understand something that's going wrong with a child's body, and they're talking about their pocketbook, or
Right, I'm like, I'm sorry, your purse.
you don't know what's going on. But I'm
What's
like,
going on?
if you're trying to communicate with a partner about what you want them to touch
Right.
or insert or not
Right, right.
insert or go, and
The
you're
purse.
you want
The purse.
pocketbook.
The purse.
What does that
The
mean?
handle of the purse, where the zipper is, and then you go in and it's the little pocket. The purse.
Girl, get out.
It's
Get out.
I'm not doing this.
A great
little more to the
starting
left of the
point.
I'm
A
sorry.
great starting point is learning the language and trying to
Right.
use
Right.
it.
I mean, I know, to be honest, like, I'd be the first to admit, like, I did not know the language. I mean, outside of vagina, which now I know.
Everybody
what
just says vagina.
Right.
Right.
Or the vajayjay. I mean, people just want to
Yeah.
get real worked up, get
Yeah.
real whatever. But I didn't know those things. And that part of that, again, I cannot. It makes no sense, and you're right. Kristen would say all the time that for a woman not to understand and know their body, and like in certain things, I mean, at least at the very least, saying the names and
Some
whatever
people
is,
don't.
yeah,
Yeah. With men, I think in some ways it's more obvious, or they have more access to information, or because.
And it's
their
okay for them,
well,
right?
because their genitals are external, right? It's just more apparent in a lot of literally, right? But still, men have so little information about their bodies, how things work, why they may be not getting erections, right? What anything about their testicles. I mean, there's
Right.
so many things. How to keep their body healthy. A lot of men get a lot of pleasure from stimulating the prostate.
Come on.
And yet,
Talk about it.
for so many men,
I, black
anything-
person.
All right now.
anything in their anus is a gay activity,
Sister.
which of course means negative. And so many men are missing out on an incredible source of pleasure because of their lack of knowledge or preconceived notions and homophobia.
Right. And so how do you then, I mean, as far as I think we always talk about this, like educating yourself, and I think people just don't even try. It's just
Right.
kind of like, oh well,
Right.
that's just this is just how it is,
Right.
kind of thing. But I think that if you are, especially you do yourself and then your partner or partners disservice if you're not clear about that.
Yep.
Because I think that because we weren't able to even say.
Yep.
What it means to feel this or what it means to feel that.
Yep.
But the only thing we have been clear about is what brings us pain, which there's a problem.
Well, and for a lot of people, even that is very difficult for them to
But I
say.
mean, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, you know for yourself.
you know for yourself, like,
Absolutely.
I can identify what brings. It's no different when when someone says something bad about you. That's the thing. You can't remember. 10 things can
Yeah,
be said
yeah,
good
yeah.
about you, but
Right.
the bad thing you always hold on to.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is, like, if something negative has happened to you, it's hard for you hold on to that
Yeah,
part
yeah.
and forget about everything else that could have been pleasure about it. You know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
saying people. I know there's trauma, and I get that, but I'm just saying, like, those are the things we don't.
Yeah.
we're not able to identify what it is pleasure and are we deserving of it?
Well, because oftentimes I think, and you could probably speak to this, that we don't, even whether you're alone or in a couple, we don't explore with our partners to even know what's pleasurable.
True.
Because I think a lot of times, particularly for men, the goal is the orgasm.
Right.
As opposed to the pleasure.
Whose orgasm?
For them.
Well, and
or
that's
for-
the thing. Whose orgasm?
You got something to say, sis?
Because
Whose orgasm?
Mike on.
Whose?
right?
Well, yes, and even if they have a female partner and they're focused on her orgasm, oftentimes that's about their own ego and not about actually pleasing their partner. So there's a lot of nuances, and I'm not, huh?
It's one and the same.
I'm sorry.
No, it is not.
You think so?
No.
Here we go.
Here we go.
No, I'm not trying to tell you what you're thinking. I'm trying to say that
If you
if it's for
come
your,
and it makes you feel
If who's
good,
co-
it
if
makes
who
us feel
comes?
good because
We're not
it
being
makes
Michael.
you
You
feel
said
good
Michael.
with your ego.
If who comes?
Right,
no,
but if
no,
you-
but that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying that if you're in pursuit of someone's orgasm just for your ego, you're not focused on her pleasure and what specifically pleasures her.
Right.
And you're trying to get her to say, yes, you're making me come, or all the other things, without actually giving her an orgasm.
I'm confused.
What is your confusion?
Let them know.
You
If
said that thing.
if your goal,
Say it again.
if the goal is to get you to your climax, how you want to say we're not concerned with making you feel good?
That's not what I said, though. If your concern is feeding your ego, like you want to feel like the man because you made her come, you're not focused on, you're rarely focused on what actually makes her come and doing the things that make her come.
Right.
Your focus is on still your own pleasure.
I've seen it happen, but not really caring about the process of getting there. It's just more like, is it
Right.
more so just like
We all take
Penetration.
a long time.
Exactly. and
And a lot of it,
Hence our point.
it takes a long time because
You're proving
you
your
didn't prove the
point.
point.
You just proved your point.
thank you
Just
for
prove their
illustrating
point.
my point.
right.
Thank you.
know,
Drop the mic.
Thank you.
There.
I've read estimates
Is
that
this thing
80% of cis women don't come from penetration. From intercourse,
Alone.
from intercourse
Alone.
And so and yet every man swears
That's right.
that their dick is the one that can do it.
That's right.
That's just not science.
Well, I'm sorry. First of all, people having whole babies out here, 8 pounds and higher. I mean, I'm just saying.
Meaning,
it's not your dick alone that's gonna make this.
What
this show
I'm
going
saying,
Meaning
but
that-
that's a part to
meaning
me.
that the pocketbook is
The pocketbook is not.
You know how Granny's first.
Because sometimes,
no more. It's just.
well, hold on, because it really depends on if you got
It's
a
now a
clutch.
backpack.
If you got
It's
a
now a
clutch,
backpack.
No.
you might have a little clutch,
Madam,
or you
madam,
have a satchel.
I can't do
Jane
this with
The
you.
satchel
I'm leaving if we
with
keep going
the
down.
satchel
Tote
with
bag
the
out this
pockets
joint.
are still a little flimsy. The pockets are flimsy. Do a snap.
Next thing you know, your change is all stuck in the line.
Picnic baskets.
Oh, not the picnic basket.
So what we're not gonna do? Hold up. What
No,
we're not-
We had a moment.
We had a moment.
We
We
did.
back.
We
We
back.
back.
Bring us back.
And
Bring us
We
back.
back.
It's
The sex therapist
fine.
said, "Not
She said
today.
no.
Listen.
Not today.
Yeah,
You
bring us
won't."
back.
What we're not gonna do is be disrespectful about different ways
Bring
that
us
women's
back.
bodies look and feel and respond and do everything else, right?
Right.
Because regardless of the
No,
size,
that's all right.
I'm talking about all of it, right? So regardless of the size of your labia, regardless if you've had 10 babies through your vagina, regardless of anything else, labia, yes. Go ahead and look it up.
Did you?
Google.
Did you say I'm gonna look up and see what that is?
Yes,
It
yes.
was. He
And
got-
I'm so proud of you.
And so,
He got
Because
look. He like, look. He like, oh.
so I need to be real clear. We can talk about the language, but we're not going to shame women's
Yeah,
bodies.
no.
No, it's
We
not
can-
shaming.
I completely
Not
agree
y'all.
with you. I think
He had some picnic baskets.
No, and I
But
think
I
the
completely
Yeah, no.
agree with you because that's a lot of what I run into in my business is that when I in the room with these women, there's so much insecurity there. Like there's like, oh well, I know, and it's been a while since and my vagina looks like this. Don't look at it, or she's not the prettiest, or I have a lot of hyperpigmentation, and I have a lot of ingrown hairs and things of that nature. I had one lady come in and say, I just met a new guy, but I had ingrown hair, and I wasn't sure if he was going to think I had an STD or something. So I was really insecure about him going down on me. I said,
yeah.
but did he? She was like, yeah, he did. I said, did you enjoy it? Did he enjoy? Was there any
Nothing wrong,
complaints?
yeah.
And she was like,
You can
I
see
get
it
that,
and
though.
ask.
exactly.
No,
But
because
the
if
whole
it-
time she's like,
Oh,
I
if
really
it's
couldn't
big,
get
okay, right. I'm
the
like,
pleasure that I wanted
damn,
to out
just
of
a
it
bump,
because I was
just a bump.
insecure and thinking about
No,
it.
it can't.
Like,
Yeah.
You could get that.
when you
I
lay
know.
somebody on a table and put them in a position like that where they're just
They're
vulnerable,
Very
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
it is amazing what you learn about people.
Right.
There's so many. I mean, you think about how the insecurities about our bodies that are present to the world.
Right.
So
Right.
many of us have insecurities about the way our genitals look. I mean, it's beyond, and it's so inhibiting when it comes to expressing yourself sexually. It can really get in the way of people experiencing pleasure and joy. Right? It's huge.
Right.
Yeah, that's
And I wonder that again, I'm sure that's society where it's this, like you're saying, if you get most of your images and things from porn, it's
where all of the vulvas and all the penises look exactly
Exactly
the
what
same.
I'm saying.
Or then
And where like anuses are bleached so that they're all the same color. I mean, let's be real clear about what
Yeah.
we're looking at.
Right.
I'm pro porn. There's wonderful things about porn, but if you're only learning about bodies from porn,
Right.
You're going to get a very skewed sense of
Right.
what bodies look like. Again, what people enjoy, how people sound when they have an orgasm or experience pleasure, all kinds of things.
But also they have the whole vaginal rejuvenation,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
So
they
that's
do.
along that
Absolutely.
same lines, which is basically is like, if your vagina is no longer pretty or
Tightening-
whatever,
Well, tightening it
tightening
up,
it
making
up,
the labia
yeah.
smaller,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes, So sometimes if the inner labia is longer than the outer labia, changing that,
Yes.
right? We don't need to change anything.
Yeah.
But you know what?
about
But,
our
but
labia.
you know what that is? It's because to me, it's still this whole stigma about women. Now, because that's supposed to say something. That
Unless it
means
causes
something.
discomfort. Because there's some people who have those
Oh,
issues where
listen.
they do need to get it cut or trimmed down.
No,
because it's a little
but
longer
that's
and it
one
causes
thing.
Listen,
complications.
I'm so glad you said that because I want to be real clear. If you're having any pain, if you
Right.
have a medical issue,
Yeah.
this is no way meant to shame you about
Right.
getting
Yeah.
help.
Right.
Please.
Right.
Because a
But-
lot of people don't know that that's an option. Like, you've been walking around with this discomfort for years. Like,
Yeah.
no, your gynecologist, some OBGYN, someone should have mentioned this to you. That this is, but if you're too ashamed to mention it, that it's uncomfortable and this is,
Right.
then you will never get the help you need. Jennifer just said it, be a part of your own rescue.
Thank you,
But-
Jennifer.
So that's what I'm saying. But it's so interesting to me that for women, these are all women issues. A lot of times, it's like I'm not saying that men don't have issues, but it's all us trying to rejuvenate, trying to make this better, make this that, and it's like this whole thing about why we have to constantly improve ourselves or change who we are or become better.
Absolutely.
To pleasure someone else. You know what I mean? It's never around. We can't just be.
Right.
And I'm not saying you don't want to do. It's no different if I want to get a tummy tuck. I want to get a tummy tuck. I get it. You know what I mean? But I'm saying sometimes some of these things, and even with the whole thing, even behind having multiple partners, pleasuring yourself and whatever, or I want to do this, I want to do that. It's like so shameful for women, but for men, they can pretty much do what they want.
But there's a lot of shame when it comes to penis size. That is a really
size. Okay.
size is
Gotcha.
a really big deal. That's a lot. But yeah,
And
I
function.
do. And
Because
function,
as men get
absolutely.
older and have different ailments,
But
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah, there's a lot, and we're talking about cis folks. So people who are transgender or non-binary have all their own set of things when it comes
Right.
to genitalia, right?
Right.
But yeah, I do think that there's specific experiences for
Yeah.
women, for cis
Yeah.
women.
And so how do you then, like, it's for some, for clients who come in who, if you do have a couple and they're interested in, changing things up and switching, like, what's some of the things that people are looking to do that you're finding?
Looking to engage in.
Like, yeah, whether it's between the two of them or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, what are kind of some of the
It's
things?
fascinating because people are starting at really different points. Like for some people, I'm suggesting like, oh, if you put a pillow underneath your hips during doggy style, right, you get a different angle, and that's like,
Right.
that's a whole new set of information.
Quick, honey, get on the table.
Right, but like people
Right.
are coming from a place where, for whatever reason, they haven't tried even different positions
Within the,
in
right.
what I may consider a more basic kind of education. Other people are interested in a new set of BDSM. So doing some domination, submission, a little pain, playing with toys. People are interested in anal sex, the G-spot. Often they come in because either one person has developed a very specific interest that their partner may or may not share. Maybe they haven't communicated about it. or they're bored, right? They need some more spice, and that can look like all kinds of things, right? So the first part of my work is a lot of assessment. It's a lot of conversations. It's then talking about desire and what turns you on, what turns you off, and how to mitigate the stuff of life, right? So for a lot of people, when you're stressed out, you can't get turned on. You do not want, you shut it all the way down.
Right.
And so how do you then respond to a partner who really wants to engage in more sex, but you're stressed about the kids and the money and the car and you hate your job and all these other things?
Right.
So we have to then talk about how you can like summon your erotic energy, right? And if you want to engage with more sex with your partner.
Right.
It's about expectations, it's about communication, there's all kinds of parts to it.
Now,
But a
can
lot
you-
of it is about knowledge. I know you and I have had a conversation before about a sex toy store.
Oh, yes.
That's one of the best dates you could go on. Take your partner to the
And I'd like to
store,
shout out in
look at
Baltimore.
things, experience some things, try different things. If you don't know it and you don't know these are options, like you said, something like the pillow, something very simple that's like, okay, to some people was like, oh, well, we've done that for years. To somebody that's brand spanking new.
Right.
So you have to know
Right.
about these things.
And I'm talking about a regular pillow, just
Yeah.
to be clear. There are actual
But-
sex pillows, but you can just
Get
get
a regular
a
pillow.
bed pillow.
But there are specialty
wonderful-
pillows by my
Oh.
ladies online, that
Oh,
Miss
there's-
Tia and Flo, who work with Bedroom Candy, so
I
they
know
can
that's
help you
right.
get
Please.
some of these pleasurable toys. So Tia and Flo, please post your information in the live feed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nice. And on
And
our
also-
page, A Side of Shade. please.
Yes,
also,
and on the
like,
page.
we have an amazing sex toy store here in Baltimore, Maryland called Sugar. It's
love
in
that place.
Hamden. They are
Nice.
wonderful. Not only do they have a great selection of products, their staff. I don't work for them, just to
Right.
be clear. I'm really a fan.
It's a really
Their-
nice place.
Their staff knows so much about the products, so can just have a real conversation with you about what you want, and they have classes there. Everything from how to give a better blowjob to introducing you to rope to the basics of polyamory to all kinds of things.
Wow.
I went to a G-spot class there.
Yeah, can you talk
Fabulous.
about that? Can you elaborate
Sure
on that?
can. I'd be happy to.
Sugar is
So-
fantastic. It's a field trip. Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
so glad we should. I mean, that
Yes.
would be.
Oh, she raves about this place.
We
I
might.
love
We should
it.
do
a show
the
from
show there
Yeah.
sometime.
Let's
Totally do a show
Listen.
from there.
Hello, somebody.
Diamond.
Show from there.
Load up the truck.
Right.
Taking a show on the road.
So the G-spot is something that a lot of people think is a myth. And I want to be real clear. This is kind of general information. This is not true for everyone. It is different information for everyone. Essentially, it's a part of the body that some women really like having, cis women really like having stimulated. And it's accessible through the vagina. So it can be hard to get to without particular kinds of either with a particular toy for the G-spot or if a partner is able to access it with their fingers. For some women, based on body shape, size, where your G-spot is located, when you're having penetrative intercourse, it can be stimulated. Sometimes sometimes when you're on top in different positions, it's all about kind of the physics of how bodies are moving together, right? It is a really small area that it's about the size and shape of an almond. It feels a little rougher. And a lot of people like direct stimulation to it, right? Whether that is a rubbing, whether that is what is this?
A pounding, right. Like,
Some people don't like
you knew
direct
what it was.
stimulation to it, but around it, I mean, there's all kinds
Right.
of things. I bring it up because it's a whole other area to explore. And G-spot orgasms are different than clitoral orgasms. Are different maybe from the orgasms people associate with penetration, right? There's different, I'm not going to say levels because I'm not going to say one is better than the other, but they feel very different for a lot of folks.
What do you think about? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, is squirting connected to that?
So
Because that's become a thing in part because of
Yes.
porn.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, squirting is usually. Now I want to be real mindful. I am not a sex educator, so there's some things about anatomy that I am not the expert on.
Because you knew I was about to ask you.
Yeah.
Isn't that urine? That's where I was going.
Okay,
with
so
this.
no, this squirting is not urine.
was just
It's a mix of it's vaginal fluid. It might have a little bit of urine in it, but it is not actually urine. So I want to own that there are people who know this information far better than I do. Squirting is when a female, again, cis female, ejaculates in a way that makes the vaginal fluid shoot
Rush
or come out in a different
Oh,
way.
okay.
It doesn't. It's not like necessarily shooting across the
Right,
room.
right.
Yes, so there's performers in porn who are either able to do that naturally or through some kind of manipulation. I don't even know how you do that, right? And that's become some sort of like status symbol
Right.
to make someone squirt,
Right.
right? A lot of women who squirt are really embarrassed by it, right? And so I appreciate that it's coming into like the public discourse as a way of less body shaming. But not everybody can squirt. Not everybody wants to squirt.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, it's not necessarily a goal like you get more pleasure because
Right.
it doesn't mean that the orgasm was so much
See
better.
what I'm saying about dispelling
Right.
some of these myths.
Yeah, exactly.
And I
feel
so
like
that's more my lane is talking about like the emotional piece of that.
Yeah.
Like I want to own
No,
that.
I
But
appreciate
still,
that.
mechanics of it is
but
not
but even
always my
just
area.
saying that,
Yeah, that's
most
that's
of us
empowering
don't even
right
know
there.
that.
Yeah, that's empowering right there.
I'm glad.
No,
Yeah,
and I'm
I'm all
no,
about sexual
seriously.
empowerment.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you why. Because some people, I'll be 45 next month.
Oh.
Now, damn it, I know I don't look it.
Here she go. I knew it was coming.
I know it.
You
And
have
that-
nothing right here. You have nothing.
Hello. Hello, somebody. Oh no, hold on. Oh, real quick. And so, but for people who are in their 40s, I mean, it changes, and I
body
think
shaming.
that people are, and I think for some women who this is something we don't talk about because if you're in that 40 something, you come up in the era where you didn't talk about it. It was just kind of, it was a private thing. But if you can just kind of briefly just talk about as we change, like how do you can you give like some pointers on like how do you rejuvenate, make you feel, because some people feel away
Reconnect-
because we
reconnect
don't
to
know
your body.
you know, some people have had hysterectomy, some people have had this changes in your body that when you were 20 and you were 30 it was
Yeah.
different. You know,
Absolutely.
Not as
We often
flexible.
think
Right.
about- yeah.
you know, you get out the
I
bed, it's a
mean,
limp. I mean,
it's not as flexible.
Stretching is
I
crucial.
mean, yo, right.
We often think about physical changes related to age around menopause, but prior to that, it changes. When you're 20 is not how you feel when you're 30,
Right.
when you're 40, premenopausal, all these different pieces. It has a lot to do with health. It has a lot to do with our emotional state and our own confidence about
Yeah.
how our body looks.
Right.
So getting in touch with feeling good about the way our body looks and feels, which doesn't necessarily mean making changes in physically.
Right.
Thinking about, you know, how we want to communicate to our partners and maybe getting some new partners or exploring our body on our own so we really know more about it. Trying different positions and toys that are different to the way your body is now. And lubrication, because one of the things that happens with women's bodies as we age is a lot of women can tend to lose vaginal lubrication. Lube is a wonderful thing for a lot of different scenarios, so explore a good lube that works with your body's chemistry.
No, I appreciate that because I think that, you know, that's another thing. Like we often, I feel like for women, you're challenged with even bringing it up because you, for some reason, we always feel like we're alone in a lot of these areas. And clearly, we got to have another session of Sex Part 2 so that you can get into the toys and that sort of thing. Because that's the,
I just knew there was going to be a
Ethical
table
non-monogamy.
I know.
full of stuff.
yeah,
Well,
then and then
But she's
it-
not a toy. Like she doesn't.
I'm
Like
kind of
right. There's none here. There's none
not
here.
But maybe we can, and if we can do it on a night when I'm not working
Yeah.
in my other job, we can do some more. I do have some props. I have a clitoris model, which I'd love to bring in as part of our discussion.
No, I think I appreciate that because again, you know, we've had this conversation about how it's just one of those things where, you know, you want to empower women, you want to empower young women to know, you know, what it means to know your body, understand your body. And I'm saying not just for sexual health, but also just for health.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you're not clear about what those different things, if you're having pains during sex, if you're not, like, those things are important. I think that we just go through thinking like, oh, I guess that's just how it is. And you could really be having some serious things going on.
And we underestimate that basic information is powerful.
Yeah.
Because if we're
Absolutely
in the work or if we're talking about it, we forget that most people aren't, and most people don't know these types of things, because who's gonna talk to them about it?
Yeah.
So
Find your pleasure.
Yes.
Find, you know.
And can
I'm
you
gonna say, I was
again
gonna
tell
say,
them where you're at? So
I work at Free Body Works, which is in Washington, D.C. I'm a sex therapist there. There are sex therapists in this area if you're more specific to Baltimore. And again, Sugar, the sex toy store, is a great place to start.
What'd you say?
Oh no, I was just saying I can appreciate what it is that you do and what you offer, because the therapy behind what you do and letting people get their insecurities and teaching people how to relax, and that it's not just a physical thing, that it is a lot of mental that's associated with it as well, helps people greatly. So you're doing an awesome service to us all.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you,
Emma.
Yay. You have been
I'm glad
awesome.
you learned about the labia.
Right now, look, he afraid now. He like, yikes. But thank you all for joining us tonight. This was a great conversation, and we're going to bring Emma back because she's going to get into some more details. Maybe we should try to see if we can do it at Sugar.
Yeah.
We should look into that.
Continue the conversation on our Facebook page, though, at A Side of Shade.
And
like,
if you have any questions,
send
that
questions.
we should,
yeah.
I'm happy to answer them.
Post questions on the Side of
directly
Shade,
or in the
please.
next,
And we can
please.
have
Yeah,
a
that would
part
be a
2.
fun.
next show.
Yeah, we can have it.
And show ideas in general. If there are topics that you want to talk about, post them. Let us know.
Yes.
Thank
Awesome.
you all
Well,
for
thank you all for watching. We will see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh,
Jennifer said your awesome sauce.
Hello, Jennifer.